Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving deep into Liverpool's recent 2-2 draw at Craven Cottage against Fulham. And look, for the casual viewer, it was chaos. A classic Premier League thriller, you know, back and forth, late drama, stunning goals.
They had all of that.
But for those of us tracking the structural issues, the underlying metrics, this result tells a much more complicated and, frankly, a much more concerning story for Arne Slot's side.
It really does. What's fascinating here is that the final score, that 2-2 draw, it just doesn't reflect the real story of a significant tactical mismatch, especially in that opening 45 minutes.
Okay.
So our mission today is really to move past the scoreline and dissect exactly how Marco Silva exposed Liverpool's vulnerabilities, look at the glaring data alarm bells, and then, examine the implications of it all.
So let's jump right into that first half then, the tactical side of it. It felt like Liverpool were, I don't know, driving a sports car into a concrete bunker.
That's the perfect analogy. Our sources describe Fulham's approach under Marco Silva as a tactical masterclass.
And how did they do it?
They deployed a highly compact 5-4-1 mid-block. Now, this formation is inherently defensive, but the way Silva executed it, it was brilliant. Its design isn't just about putting bodies behind the ball.
No.
It's designed to achieve complete density, total impenetrability in those central danger zones.
So what was the specific goal of that structure? I mean, why a 5-4-1 instead of, say, a more traditional 4-4-2?
The primary goal was to completely deny the crucial half spaces. For the listener, the half spaces are those vertical channels, between the center back and the full back.
Where Liverpool thrives.
Exactly. Their entire creative identity relies on players like Szoboszlai or Wirtz getting the ball there, turning and creating danger. The 5-4-1 just puts immediate pressure on those zones, forcing Liverpool wide.
And the consequence of being forced wide was, well, it was blindingly obvious, wasn't it?
Yep.
Especially with Mohamed Salah away at AFCON.
Absolutely. The absence of Salah's natural, genuine width just became so glaring. Salah is crucial because his gravity on that right flank, it forces the opposition to commit players wide.
It stretches the defense.
It stretches the back line and creates those central passing lanes. Without him, they just couldn't disorganize Fulham's five-man defense at all.
And you could see it. I mean, we saw a lot of high possession stats for Liverpool, but none of it felt dangerous. It was all a bit static.
It was possession for the sake of possession. Just horizontal passing, side to side, outside the penalty area, trying to find an angle that simply didn't exist.
Fulham were happy with that.
They were perfectly content to let Liverpool have the ball there, knowing they had the numbers centrally. It was tactical denial.
Let's talk about the players who suffered most from this.
Yes.
It wasn't just a general problem. It felt targeted.
Oh, it was surgical. The primary victims were Florian Wirtz and Dominic Szoboszlai. They thrive on speed, tight control.
In those little pockets of space.
Yes, exactly. But the 5-4-1 ensured that if they did get the ball, they had immediate pressure. They had no time, no space, no oxygen, really.
And that pressure cooker ultimately leads to the opening goal, which, as you say, wasn't just a random moment, but a direct consequence of all this.
Correct. The goal sequence starts not with Fulham genius, but with a structural lapse from Liverpool. It originated on their right side, where we saw a defensive disconnect it's deeply worrying.
Between who?
Connor Bradley and Ibrahima Konate. They were described as slightly disconnected, and that gap between them was just too large. It allowed the initial pass to break the first line.
And then you had the sequence in the box. Raul Jimenez with that perfect flick for Harry Wilson.
The flick was brilliant, but it exposes that lack of synchronization in the back line. And if we look at the data, one of your sources highlights Virgil van Dijk,
The commander,
as the one who ultimately played Harry Wilson onside by a matter of inches.
See, that's the part that's hard to square. Van Dijk is usually flawless there. What does that tiny error tell us?
It tells us that when the rhythm is broken, when the team is frustrated, that fractional error happens. A synchronized backline steps up together, that tiny margin. It indicates a backline that just isn't in sync when the pressure is really on.
So, first half, a tactical masterclass from Fulham. But Slot did make an adjustment at halftime. The second half was a completely different game, wasn't it?
It was, and you have to give Slot credit for identifying the core problem. The adjustment was effective and actually quite simple. He pushed Connor Bradley much higher up the pitch.
Almost like a wingback.
Exactly, almost as a wingback on the right.
And how did that one shift change Fulham's entire shape?
Well, by pushing Bradley higher and wider, he forced Fulham's left wingback to drop deeper and commit to tracking him. That one movement stretched their five-man defense just enough.
And created that pocket.
It created that crucial pocket centrally, which Florian Wirtz, who is so intelligent, immediately recognized. And that led directly to the equalizer. Decisive coaching.
Right, so Wirtz gets his goal, the momentum swings, and Liverpool start to dominate. But
Yeah.
even in this dominant second half, the clinical edge problem reared its head again. This isn't a new issue, is it?
No, this is the biggest red flag facing Liverpool right now. It's a season-long data concern, and it leads us to the core question. Why does this team look so overwhelming, yet consistently fail to put teams away?
Give us those numbers again, because they really are astonishing.
Okay, so Liverpool are fourth in the table. Title contention,
I
right?
didn't think so.
Yet they only have a goal difference of +4. +4. Think about what that suggests. They are winning matches by razor-thin margins, or drawing them.
And the contrast with their rivals is,
Yeah.
it's just staggering. It makes that +4 look tiny.
Exactly. Contrast that with Arsenal, who have a goal difference of +26, and Manchester City, also +26. That 22-goal disparity isn't a footnote, it's a systemic problem.
It's lethality.
It's a failure to translate the volume of chances into final third lethality.
So we're talking about more than just bad luck here. You know, Gakpo hitting the woodwork, McAllister hitting the bar. Those are unlucky, but the consistency of it suggests something deeper.
It does. It suggests either an issue with consistent finishing, or that the system generates a lot of medium-quality chances, not a few high-percentage ones. And that is the difference between a title challenger and a team just hoping for a bit of late drama.
Which brings us, inevitably, to that stoppage time madness. Gakpo scores in the 94th minute. Finally, you feel the relief. The victory seems secure.
And this is where the analysis becomes truly critical. The immediate response after taking the lead was strategically questionable, to say the least.
The substitution.
In the 96th minute, Joe Gomez comes on for Gakpo. The intent was clear. Defensive stability, shut up shop, kill the game.
But the effect was the precise opposite of stability. They just invited Fulham on.
That's the crux of it. The team immediately dropped way too deep. It's a classic case of defensive inertia. Slot defended it, saying they dropped deep to defend a potential long throw.
So it was a decision born out of fear of one specific threat.
Yes. But regardless of the intent, the consequence was fatal. By retreating so drastically, they created what your sources call a 30-yard vacuum in front of the penalty box.
Explain that 30-yard vacuum. Why is that so catastrophic in the final moments?
It's catastrophic because it nullifies your defensive shape. Your center backs retreat to the goal line, your midfield retreats, and the central zone outside the box is left completely empty.
The space Harrison Reed found himself in.
You cannot leave that much central space at this level. Harrison Reed got the ball, had all the time in the world to set himself and fire off a shot. No pressure on the ball, zero, all because they sacrificed central control.
So, analytically, this 2-2 draw, it really does feel like a loss. It feels like a statement of fragility.
Absolutely. The tangible cost is immediate. They are now 14 points behind league leaders Arsenal.
Wow, 14.
Now, they have games in hand, sure, but that psychological gap and that goal difference deficit, there are significant burdens.
In the immediate context is that head-to-head against Arsenal this Thursday. This result just amplifies the importance of that match immensely.
It turns it into a defining moment. Because Arsenal, crucially, they have one of the strongest transition games in the league. They thrive on exploiting exactly those spaces.
So if Liverpool show that same vulnerability.
If Liverpool go into that game with that same structural weakness, especially that willingness to retreat and leave that central space, the match could become a disaster for Arne Slot for all the wrong reasons.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The contrast we saw was just startling.
Yeah.
Massive XG dominance in the second half shows the offensive engine is there, but it's constantly undermined by these persistent defensive flaws.
And that's the lingering puzzle Liverpool has to solve. When a top side feels the need to sub an attacker for a defender and drop deep out of fear of a long throw, what does that say about their tactical confidence?
Yeah.
Your sources highlight a team fighting an internal war between its dominant attack and its fragile defense. So the question for you this week is this vulnerability fixable with just coaching, or is it symptomatic of a deeper psychological issue when the clock is ticking down?
A truly insightful deep dive. We will be back after the midweek fixtures to review the fallout and to see if Liverpool can start patching those vulnerabilities before their season slips away entirely.